everyone. My name is Jonathan. Both my colleague Shiranti, our CHRO, and myself are delighted to be with you this evening. And also would like to thank Achal, the SHRM team, for having us here, and also the opportunity to present the HNB case. For the benefit of all, HNB is the oldest bank in Sri Lanka, beginning way back in 1888, celebrating 130 years next year, serving the entire nation, spread right across the country. On the retail front, from minor accounts right on to senior citizens. Within the same age group, diverse product and business segments, whether it's private banking, payroll, executive business. On the commercial banking sprint, right from grassroots level, Grameen, microfinance type of banking, moving on to SME, mid-market, corporate, multinational and government. The story that I want to present to you today is what has taken place over the past 4 years, and then based on that, how the bank is moving forward in the next 4 years. So it's actually a story of two halves. So to bring context into it, I joined HNB after having worked at HSBC for a long period. In 2002, having spent 3 years, rejoined HNB in 2010, and at that time, along with my colleague Shiranti, a new head of IT, Siddharth, as well as a new board secretary, head of legal in Tushari. Now the period in between, there had been a fairly stable corporate management team. Not much had changed. However, the surprise that was that we had was in 2013 when our CEO resigned. Retired. Now retirements are normal. However, for us, knowing that he was looking at extending, suddenly when I came on 1st April to find out that I was going to take over, and at a time when the gold debacle was on, and also we had corporate management members who had retired, so it was a very young team. And then to take over, I mean, you wouldn't fault me to think that it was an April Fool's joke when I first heard, but it wasn't. We didn't have much time to sort of settle down. We immediately had to get to work. We had to work on strategies that mattered. And what mattered at that stage was what the staff could relate to. And what they could relate it to was the quantitative aspects, where the leader in the marketplace was about 2.5 billion in PAT, let's say, above us. And rather than looking at the qualitative strategies and things that they might not understand, we did not go into it. Instead, we wanted to get some quick wins in. So I like to probably share, we didn't have much else to go on. It's not moving. Okay. So in terms of the vision, now I remember before that we were looking at changing, let's say, the vision, but we saw a lot of value in keeping it going. So leadership was an important aspect. So we were looking at, providing leadership, being an example, looking at walking the talk. It was a young team, so bonding was important. Creating some of the values that we held very close to our hearts in terms of integrity, respect, things that we spoke of in the morning, passionate in everything we do, and we wanted to actually live that at the top so that we could basically be an example to the others in terms of what they wanted to achieve. So remember, I spoke of achieving numbers for the first 4 years, and this is what we did in 13, 14, 16, 17, almost doubling the loan book, the deposit book, asset growth. In addition, in all the KPIs, we went beyond the industry. In most of them, we were the top in the industry, barring one or two. Profit per employee doubled. And the leadership team itself changed drastically from basically about 28 corporate management members in 2010 when I joined. When I took over, we had only 13, very thin on the ground. At that time we had earlier 2 corporate management members in one department, but when we took over, it was one member managing 2 departments, with the bank's departments being managed by chief managers and senior managers. So that it was important that we develop them as well. So what did we do? Like I said, provided leadership, team building, retired people at 55, had to drive the younger team, created career development, management development teams like Catalyst at the senior management, Acumen at the middle management, Aspire at the junior management, in order to drive these teams, develop succession plans. In addition, we also had to strengthen the verticals because we had to deliver numbers fairly fast to convince this 4,000 staff that we were on the right track. So we also, through internal as well as external recruitments, we strengthened our team. New corporate management members got in retail banking, corporate banking, trade, treasury, SME, branch network, operations, audit, risk. All of those are today run. Within the 4 years that I'm talking of, all of those are changed. And this brought about the numbers that you saw. So where do we go from here? We then, realizing that 2016 was going to see a huge improvement, coined Vision 2020, which was about competitive, sustainable, profitable growth based on these verticals which we identified as very important. These verticals comprises of chairmen who are leading members in the industry within our bank, as well as made up of cross-functional teams, not just that particular product or segment. So 9 to 10 members from different diverse departments get together in order to form this. But this is on a bedrock of a talented and engaged team with improved communication at all levels, strong corporate governance, risk management, and compliance framework. So the driving strategy, you just saw the slide before the previous presenter also talking about client experience. We brought in a chief client experience officer. It's about digitalizing the bank at the front end, the middle office, and the back end, and for which we brought in a chief digital officer. And in order to, it's powered by happy people to support Shiranti and HR team, we brought in a chief employee experience officer. So why not a chief happiness officer? We thought we had a lot of work to do to transform from where we are to be going to the happiness state. Hopefully, if we get there, we will actually move into a chief inspirational officer who would actually then talk of joy rather than happiness as we move on. These slides, due to limitations of time, these are the various strategies that we are driving. This is the ethos client experience, employee experience. It's about we, not us, not about one person, but about the entire organization. Despite the challenges, we can move forward with this particular vision if we stay focused and we drive the plan that we have, which is about creating a happy organization, making sure that everybody sees values, sees careers, not just in terms of pay, but in terms of, that they can make a telling impact to the bank, to their colleagues, as well as to the nation. I want to thank you all for listening to me. I want to wish you all success, and may God bless you all.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your insights with us. Now I would request Mr. Vijay Sharma to please share his views and ideas with us. Thank you.
Sorry, I can't. Okay, yeah, I can find this. Okay, 4 seconds are gone, my slides aren't up. 8 seconds are gone, my slides. Okay, cool. So actually, I'm very glad Virender sir and Jonathan sir are actually here on the stage, because they've obviously built winning organizations. When SHRM came and told our team, Vijay should be on this creating winning organizations session, I was like, yaar, abhi tak to banana chalu nahi kara hai, and how can we sort of be confident of the fact that we are creating a winning organization or not? Yet I think what we can definitely do is sort of share two things, right? One is, as a young startup, as a young technology company that's sort of really trying to solve hiring in a very unique way, we could sort of share whatever we are trying at our level, which might be insightful or non-insightful for the larger audience here. And we could also share what some of our customers are doing, which are sort of some of the largest companies that you could think of are potentially doing to continue winning. And, we were sort of discussing internally amongst our team, what is a winning organization, right? And there were three things that we basically thought of what winning organizations would be for us. First is they should inspire us, right? I mean, at the end of the day, is it inspiring people inside the org? Is it inspiring customers? Is it inspiring shareholders? Two, does it build trust with the shareholders? And three, which I think the definition of a winning organization means that you have to keep winning again and again. You can't hope that, you sort of won and then you've basically won. Because the moment you start thinking that I've won and that's it, I don't have to do anything more, you're going to die, right? Especially the way technology is moving. So what are some examples of companies that we thought are, winning organizations? So first is Adobe, right? So Adobe is a very large, awesome product company. If you have ever PDF'd your file, you would have used Adobe's Illustrator. And Adobe around 95 to 2000 was sort of going through a leanish patch, but they were able to sort of transform themselves and sort of go to the cloud. And I know it's something that a lot of our organizations now need to do, which is basically, hey, how do we transform ourselves and move to the cloud? Here is an example of an organization that did it and is now really succeeding again and again. Let's take another company, Google, which is now called Alphabet. If you think about it, Google obviously was sort of winning with search, right? I mean, there was nothing stopping Google from winning at search. But they sort of kept on investing in acquiring not only new companies in spaces that potentially could disrupt them, they kept on acquiring awesome teams. If you think about it, the YouTube team, the Android team, the DoubleClick team, the Maps team, all these teams have sort of literally laid the foundations for new products and new innovations that Google has sort of gone and scaled on top of. And it required a winning mindset. It required a mindset of being in a belief that, hey, we could get disrupted as Google as well. This is one of my favorite organizations. Manchester United is a football club that Virender Aggarwal will now get up and say, I have to put Chelsea potentially here. But honestly, if you think about Manchester United as a club, as an organization, as an institution, it has continued to grow again and again. Whether Sir Alex Ferguson is there or not, they're still able to sort of generate a bunch of profit and revenue via whatever methodologies that they're sort of applying, right? And we'll talk about those methodologies later as part of the session. And obviously, you think of Amazon, right? People normally used to wait for retail companies to go and buy technology companies. Technology companies would get built for an acquisition. Or, you're going to build a technology company, some large person will come and buy you. What has Amazon done? Technology company has gone and bought a retail company, right? I mean, they've gone and bought Whole Foods. in an over $4 billion cash acquisition at a minimum, right? Which can sort of go up to 8 to 12 over time. That is unheard of. A technology company going and acquiring a retail company, unheard of. So what are these organizations sort of really doing well, according to us at Belong, and what we are sort of noticing in customers? And some of these folks that I'm giving you examples of are our customers who use Belong, and we get a chance to sort of really work closely with them. The first and utmost important one, and being I'm not a millennial because I'm from Vinod Kambli's generation. Like I saw Vinod Kambli and Sachin Tendulkar play, so I used to like support Vinod Kambli. I guess no one here knows Vinod Kambli. So, but my co-founder is 23, so he's a millennial, right? And it's sort of really difficult to keep him going if it's only about capital, money, etc., success, right? I mean, if you think about it, my parents and my co-founder's parents and a lot of people in this generation, Virender's generation, Johnson's generation, would have done a lot of hard work in India, which is our parents' generation, to sort of make sure that we don't have to worry about money, right? In Maslow's hierarchy of needs, thanks to our parents, thanks to our previous generation, we've been able to move up. We've been able to think about, hey, fine, money is important. Yes, I just need enough to be able to travel somewhere. But what can I do? How can I contribute towards the world? Because at home, I can only contribute to myself and to my family of 3-4 people. But where is this one place? Where is this one place where you can actually impact the world? It's at work. No matter what you do, which department, which company, you are actually impacting people outside your own organization, outside your family, right? And that's something that we sort of corely believe in Belong at, that if human beings are sort of spending 60-70% of their lifetime working, where should they truly belong, right? And that's sort of the mission statement for us as well. So a sense of purpose and mission, whether it's Amazon giving great customer experience, Google organizing the world's information in one place, or be it Tata, an organization we look up to a lot, or be it Nike, right? All of these organizations have a unique sense of purpose and mission. If you ever sort of go watch the Barcelona team ever play, they're playing for Catalonia. It's a state in Spain. They're not playing for football. So that's the first one. The second one that we think is important is that normally people think speed and process can't go hand in hand, right? But we actually think that the companies that really do well actually do speed and process together really well. And the answer behind doing speed and process together well is actually data and technology. If you think about it, people will think, yeah, Apple's a consumer company, but look at that stat there, right? Apple has actually penetrated 99% of Fortune 500 companies via iOS. So technology, and typically if you think about it, I mean, whatever technology you sort of go out and try to apply, let me give you an example. One of our customers, which is one of the largest, industrial automotive locomotive companies in the world, it's a European organization, and they basically realized that they're going to get disrupted by Google if they don't get into IoT like really fast. So what they did was they had a lot of data internally in their systems to understand what they need to be doing for the future. They matched it with a bunch of stuff that we gave them, and they were able to understand that, hey, potentially in India, we can hire IoT talent here. They sort of put together a proposal, went to their European headquarters, and sort of were able to win the business of sort of coming and building an IoT center out of India, right? And that happened really fast because they got data from us within 1 week. They had stored data in their ERP systems properly over the last 2-3 years, and a combination of that allowed for advanced AI or artificial intelligence or machine learning technology to be applied to give new results to them. And the third one that we think is the most important, which is basically you have to continue to seek and hire the best talent that is better than you every day, right? And if you think about it, actually there's this awesome tweet that we saw from Sujayat, who's the founder of Vunik. He lists down the people who were part of the Amazon India team in 2005. Right? And on record, and I'll just call out the names, Amit Aggarwal, who's the head of India Amazon today, Sachin Bansal, Binny Bansal, we all know Flipkart, the Infibeam founders, Twilio's founder, Hike COO, Vunik's founders, Zop now, Tutor Vista, JustPay, Myntra. These people, part of one team, went out and created more than $50 billion worth value, right? And if you go ask them today, would you get into Amazon today? 50% of them say, I will not be able to get into Amazon today. It's gotten too tough to get into Amazon, right? So this team is saying, I will not get into Amazon today. So the hunger to sort of want to be able to hire better than ourselves again and again so that we are sort of a winning organization again and again requires a lot of thought and a lot of self-introspection, yet a desire to keep winning. Yeah, I mean, again, just an example from Manchester United, Sir Alex Ferguson actually had to go run down and convince Ryan Giggs and David Beckham's parents to allow them to come and play at Manchester United, right? He wasn't spending time convincing the kids. He was spending time convincing the grandparents that they should play at this football club. And that's sort of, in many ways, something that, we've been sort of seeing working with a lot of our customers as well, where, for example, a large retail UK company basically sort of had monolithic systems, monolithic technology, and they sort of realized that they're not doing this in the right way, and they sort of scrapped everything. They used to wait for people to apply to them to be able to hire good talent, but they realized that they can't get access to talent that they really want to hire. They completely rehauled their HR and TA team overnight, and they decided to go outbound, which is basically go hunt candidates down. And it's something that we are sort of able to help them with. Over a year, they've been able to attract talent from Google, Amazon in the last year itself, and they're sort of really doing very well. So just ending off, right? I mean, if you were to think about it, which is this one department or one set of people in an org who can basically contribute to all three? First, you have to drive a sense of purpose and mission across your organization. If it's culture, values, vision, it's the HR team's job to make sure that we are able to drive that across. Two, you need to set up a great data layer to be able to sort of use technology to move fast. And three, hiring, right? I mean, you have to hire the best talent, otherwise you're not going to be able to continue to be a winning organization all your life. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vijay Sharma, for your kind words. Ladies and gentlemen, now I would request Mr. Virender Aggarwal to please come forward and share his wisdom with us. Thank you.
Thanks, Vijay and Jonathan, for a very riveting presentation. I think Vijay has done half the job for me. He says, what is your purpose? Why do you come to work? What drives you as an organization? So these are the brands appearing. If you were to see the smallest of countries, Switzerland alone has so many brands that we are aware of, right? From Nestle to Rolex watches to Lindt, even Singapore with Singapore Airlines. But just name a product or a brand from India which is globally known, which a child from Japan to Brazil would know. And the answer is, there is nothing. At best, Tata comes to mind, but then it's a conglomerate. It's not a single brand, a product brand. So for us, the sense of mission and purpose is to put a Indian company on this map. That's why we come to work. That's our mission purpose is to have a name known all over the world which is recognized. And it's a very difficult task, without doubt. And this is, when the sheer madness in me after working 30 years in the IT services industry, before hanging my boots, as he's calling the previous generation already to us.
I'm in the Vinod Kamli generation.
So I thought, let me have a last go at it because there's too much happening in the world. There's mobile coming, cloud coming, digital transformation taking place, and I had worked in the boring industry. So I thought, let me just have a last go at it and try to make something out of a product and try and take it global. And the quarter in which I joined the company, the cash losses were same as the revenue. So I just felt like this, drowning in a perfect storm. I had to battle cash shortage. I had to battle low morale, and we had not sold anything outside India in past 7-8 years other than our aviation product. So given that challenge, the brand was not selling outside India. We were cash starved. Morale was not high. We were not able to attract the kind of talent we needed, and that was the battle. So one was to throw the towel because I had made enough money till then. But then I said, what the heck, let's give it a go. And what inspired us to give it a go was because our competitors to us looked like this. Many of you would recognize the big ERP providers whom we are referring to here. They seem to be bound by their legacy to us. And there was the green shoots emerging. We had seen the success of Salesforce, and Workday IPO opened up at $15 billion. And that gave us hope. Yeah, if we do something different, innovative, something path-breaking, we have a chance. So very soon we realized, as I kept emphasizing people, we had to hire extremely smart people We had to have a culture which is akin to Silicon Valley culture, which is, care for what you contribute and not for the hierarchies. And we had to have a structure to support an organization which will compete with the best in the world, which will take on the ERP greats and extremely well-funded company like Workday was funded $650 million or so. So competing against them was a Herculean task, but then what the hell, let's give it a go. So there are too many slides. Maybe mindful of time, I'll just stay on this slide and skip the rest, assuming that I remember what's there in the next slides. So coming to people, I realized that people is something we needed absolutely the best people in the company to work. And we needed to know where we are. So we did an assessment using an external agency to figure out what kind of people we had. And we bracketed them into people who could change the business, who could run the business, or who were laggards who were pulling the organization down. The first thing was to let go of the people who were pulling the organization down, who were not going to grow with us, not even able to run the business. And then we found some people who could change the business, and the other were run the business type. So we knew where we were. And now to have a lot of people with a lot of creativity, a lot of responsiveness, and a lot of desire to change the world, we had to get things changing pretty soon. And we realized our HR was all set in. My job is to onboard people, make sure their salaries get paid, make sure appraisals happen, letters get issued, and so on and so forth. So that was not the HR that I had envisaged the HR would be. So HR for me would be somebody who would create a brand which will attract the best talent to join the company, make it worthwhile for them to stay, and let them have a feeling, thank God it's Monday, not thank God it's Friday. If you cannot stay at work, those are the people we want, and that's the environment we need to give them, that I'm dying to be at work. Even if I'm at home, I want to work. That's the feeling, that's the passion we wanted in our people. And that was the job that HR had to do for us to create that. And the other thing we went about doing, I'll just skip the slides quickly. So HR was to manage the employee experience, create the brand image. So this is the next slide, which is important. So we decided to untangle the company, have fewer product lines, retire the products which are not going to make it, simplify, and then amplify the message. Simplification was carried out by making the KPIs aligned to the organizational goal. In today's world, if you're going to compete in San Francisco delivering with Amazon, San Francisco delivery is 1 hour. If you're going to compete, your KPI as an organization is 1 hour. Only single KPI. So we said, okay, we'll reduce the KPI of the entire organization to only one KPI, order booking. Before we did that, this was the KPI we made for our HR, their Glassdoor score. We said, we will not appraise you. We will just look at your Glassdoor score. If your Glassdoor score is going down, you had it. If it goes up, you have done well. So simplified the KPIs to single KPI, lean KPI, no complexity. I'll just give you an example of this is how the KPI of our marketing person used to look like. Proactively engage with the leadership team in product positioning, blah, 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 15 points. Plan, strategize, and execute digital, this thing, 50 points. So, how do you measure a person against that? This was reduced to 25% of the total organization's order booking target is through digital channels. And if you spend $1 on digital, we incidentally spend $100,000 a month on Google AdWords. 20x is what you need to produce in terms of order booking. And, we needed breakthrough innovation. We could not do with incremental innovation. And you did not improve candles to get a bulb like this. So we needed people who will make breakthrough innovation. So we decided we will pay unfairly to people who will make a difference. One of the interns who recently joined us from a college called NIT, we paid him thrice the joining salary of NITN because when he was working with us as intern, he was solving problems in 3-4 days, which our people had not solved for years together. So we just paid him thrice as much as joining salary because he makes a difference. Everybody can succeed with a good team. Can Leo Messi succeed and make Argentina win the World Cup? That will be the true determination whether he is in the league of Diego Maradona or not. Since football is the season, I must respond to Vijay with football. And this is how The daily appraisal gets done of the mood of the people and the managers, who manage them. In each floor, the mood of the team is published. Every day with the attendance, they mark how are they feeling today. And this is how we figure out whether people are networking, talking to each other, whether they're talking to their customers or not, how many people they're interacting with, whether salesman is writing to a customer or customer is writing them back, what's the level of interaction, what's their network like, instead of relying on face-to-face this thing, because data speaks a lot. We figure out somebody was sending mails to the person sitting next to them. And that shows how much of the organization collaboration is going on. So in today's world, while in bank you can afford to have a vision and mission, in our business, the models are changing every day. The technology is changing every day, and we need to respond. We need to respond very, very fast. Somebody has brought this feature, how do you respond to that? Incidentally, those who notice who are MBA, my apologies, never let an MBA near a marketplace that runs itself. This is Jack Ma said, Alibaba guy, I didn't. So these are self-running, self-forming teams. Like we're working on a next generation financial product. We formed a team which came together from 10 different people from various places. And quickly they will work for next 6 months on that product and come out of it. Somebody's come about on blockchain. The team comes together, moves out. So short teams, 3 months, 6 months, comes from all walks of life and go away. These are flexible teams, flexible structure, hardly any hierarchy. This is about speed. No HR to receive anything. The chatbots on Facebook, you can apply your travel, you can apply your leave, you can do whatever you feel like. No bothering anybody with phone calls, look up your pay slip, blah, blah, and so on. And as you walk into office, your face is recognized, your attendance is marked. That's about it. There is no card to carry, nothing to do. And in case you don't know, I'm a certified barista, so in case you need a help in coffee, this is to break down the barriers. I don't have a seat in office. And so nobody has a cabin. And most people don't know I'm CEO, at least not in a Singapore office, where very often an intern will throw and keep my things on the bar stool there because the person needs to use the room or something. And incidentally, we have a bar in office as well. So this is summarizing everything. We hire the best. We have fun, we have Zumba, we have CrossFit, we have yoga in office. All organic food is free. So we care about people's health. So I'm right on time, I think.
Once again, we'd like to thank all our leaders. Thank you so much for sharing your strategies, your tricks, your tips with us. That'll definitely help us in overcoming hurdles that'll make our workplaces win. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the floor is open for questions. In interest of time, we have 5 minutes Q&A. You can raise your hand, we'll give you the mic. Thank you so much.
Hi, good evening everyone. And Virender sir, your talk was really inspiring and interesting. Thank you for that. Okay, my question to you is, you showed us a slide on how you created smaller structures, people get together, work, and then again go back to different projects. So how do we do this in a legacy organization? So in an organization where we have people from older mindset and new age millennials as well. So so half of the people are willing to get into groups, whereas the older mindset people are not. So in such a culture and such an organization, how do we make that happen? Any thoughts on that?
First is, the culture is driven right from the top. If your CEO doesn't believe in it, it's not going to happen. So only if the CEO believes in it, it will happen. Still, it's not easy. because there are entrenched people, entrenched politics, entrenched everything. Nobody wants to let go of their people. So it's extremely difficult to break these barriers, but you have to set examples. You may have to do public hanging a couple of times to make sure the person resisting is out of the company, doesn't come next day onwards. So the message goes down that that's the way it is. We have IJP, internal job profile. So if you're working on some exciting project, you just advertise to the whole company, I'm working on this cool stuff on blockchain or chatbots. People who want to join in, please. And the policy is within 3 months, they have to join. No manager can hold a person if the person has shown interest and the recipient project is willing to take them. So that's a process we have done. So with this process on, if somebody is interested in working on something cool, they come in, then nobody can stop them. Max time they can hold on is 3 months.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Hi. My question would be to Vijay. Vijay, you mentioned a lot of people, you mentioned a lot of people from Steve Jobs to Jeff Bezos and everyone else, and they've been creating big organizations. So how do you, as an individual, ensure that you maintain the culture of the organization? Like, how do you bring that fire in the people to say that, thank God it's Monday, like you said?
Thank God it's fine.
It's Monday.
It's Monday. Actually, now that there's some 15 people from Belong over here, I think first I'll ask them to go out. Can all of you please start heading out? Anyway, I actually don't think about it that way, by the way. I don't think about the fact that they should come super excited on Monday. Like, honestly, so at Belong, 95% of the org has stocks. So we're a 120 people company. We're not that small, the ideal smallness that I would want us to be. So we're 120 people, and like 95% of them have stocks. So I think there's one, obviously, an emotional connect to the company, which we're sort of able to build. Two, I think, one of the things in the sense of purpose and mission thing that we did, we started like from day 5. I mean, I think employee number 5, Rishabh, my co-founder, is there. And we basically have a vision document, which the founders walk every new employee through. So all the 160 people who would have ever come into our organization sort of get walked through that vision document. And we have a certain set of values that we basically live against, hold ourselves accountable to. So in a town hall, when basically one of the 120 person holds me accountable for me not living the values, those are the best days of my life while building Belong. And when publicly my team is aware of the fact that that's what basically makes me happy, you just see a very different kind of an organization. And I actually get happy when on Saturday, Sundays they land up when I haven't landed up on a Saturday, Sunday, and they're sitting there, right? So Monday is like
Monday or any
right?
other day.
Sorry, maybe we're at a startup, but Monday to yaar. But there are dogs. That's a secret. I mean, there are dogs inside the company. They're allowed. Pets are allowed. So that helps. No, I'm just kidding. Saturday, Sundays are where I get to know whether people are really passionately, like really running hard towards the goal.
I wanted to know for Ramco, you had mentioned that when employees join, they get segregated into 3 groups, and that's how you decided laggards out. And what was the process? How did you go about that?
So we hired an external agency for the sake of transparency and neutrality. And they spent 1 hour interviewing each one of them, audio recorded. They're still available, the audio recordings. After 4 years, they've done it. And based on that, they did an assessment to tell us where they think these people fit in. And these people are technologists, very well known and they would be using technologists to talk to technology people and marketing people and so on and so forth. And using that assessment and using our collective judgment, we figured out that these people are willing to change the world. These people are happy to run the way it is. The other people are not willing to change. As somebody mentioned, the legacy people are not willing to change. And we wasted no time in letting go the people who were not willing to change. Because either you are on board or you're not on board. You can't be sitting, you can't be on the edge.
My question is to Mr. Aggarwal.
I have a question for Mr. Jonathan. You hear a technology company, a startup, and multinational banks, whereas your bank is today limited to Sri Lanka. How do you compare yourself today to the industry overall?
This is back in Sri Lanka or?
Yeah, so from where you are,
Yes.
so I'm sure there will be multinational banks there.
Yes.
And as well as some of the best leading practices across?
So basically, I have worked 20 years in an international bank. I'm from HSBC before I joined HNB. We have a role to play in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is expanding. There are limited resources there. So as a systemically important bank, we need to align ourselves to the government, align ourselves to the people's requirement, be it at an infrastructure level, corporate, SME, or at the grassroots level. We do what we need to do. We don't wait for money lenders and the loan sharks to be going in and exploiting our microfinance entrepreneurs. We provide that opportunity for them to be made inclusive in the society. But in terms of, we do have regional aspirations. We have looked outside. We understand that just looking at, I said at the beginning, Vision 2020 is a sustainable model. So it looks beyond banking. It also looks to new cash flows in addition to protecting existing cash flows, which are under threat by through fintechs and through, let's say, other digital players in the market. Whilst recognizing the threat, we do collaborate with them where it requires. We even go to the extent of promoting fintechs. For example, we are running a fintech promo in the next couple of months, and we are hoping that we would get at least 100 on board, and at least 10 of them will come with, first-class solutions, which part of it then they could joint venture with us and then launch them so that we get into something like a revenue share model. So it's about recognizing where the market is going. So when I mentioned that one of the cogs was, let's say, digitalization, I mentioned the middle part was about automation and the back end was about, your cloud and your data layers and stuff like that. But the front layer is about product development channels. It's about networking with the fintechs, the telcos, the supermarkets, as well as creating that enabling ecosystem for the SMEs and the likes to actually e-trade as well as use our IPGs, etc. We see a great opportunity for us to play a role.
Yeah, I had another question, and that was, what made you set up Belong? What did you see as a gap, and where do you see your competition?
So I get asked that question internally in town halls as well, and I tell them the same thing. When you want to build an institution that outlives you, what is competition? Right? So we are set out to sort of help people belong at their workplace. Our true thought process is that actually what set us out to start Belong was that there were 4 founders who basically had a combined work experience of 5 years, right? And I had majority of that. We basically used to help people find jobs when we used to just connect to random people we would meet. We never got 10% CTC, etc. on top of it. But every time, we would basically end up getting an email or an SMS or a call saying thank you from one of those 200 people who sort of either hired or sort of joined someone. Raat ko neend achhi aati thi. So honestly, we are running after that one good night's sleep every day. We get up every day we're just like super excited about the fact that if every human being can be at the right place where they can cause impact in the world will move forward progressively. And that's what motivates us every day.